Now let's work on the top cylindrical shape that appears here. We can check it on the reference. As you can see, it's this shape. We can see it here as well, kind of a cylindrical shape there. Let's add this to what we already have so far. So we'll start with the tube. Again, in Houdini you don't have a cylinder primitive, but you do have a tube. Let's adjust the size of it. So let's say, so you have a radius top and a radius bottom, 0.00. Let's start with 0.02, 0.02, and let's say the height is 0.005. Pressing F to zoom on it. So this is primitive. Let's switch to polygon. So we actually have some polygons. Shift W to look at the wireframe. Let's give it a bit more resolution, and let's make sure it caps. So end caps, and here the resolution maybe 32, maybe more, 64. Seems better. Now we want to position this based on the reference and on what we already have. So we know that that tube will have to be exactly on top of this. And right now the tube has the pivot of the tube is at the center of the tube. And that's actually good because we do want it to intersect the main part of the head of the hammer. So let's start by moving it to the top. We already had a look at the centroid expression, and that's going to be very useful in the future. You're going to see that it's really a very useful expression. And there's another one that's actually even more useful. So for us to position the tube, we would usually apply a transform, turn it on. Maybe we can merge these two together just so we can have a look at them both at the same time. So let's merge the main head with the tube that we have. So now we can see them both at the same time. This one doesn't have normals, and that's why it's giving us that kind of weird result. So we can just take care of that. Apply normal. Now it's done. Okay. Now we would select the transform, hit enter, and then probably manually adjust the position. But that's not procedural, and that's not precise either. So let's keep this at 0. And let's use it in an expression. Basically, the expression that we want is we want to position our tube based on a maximum value of the y coordinate of this piece. If we select this piece and hold the middle mouse button, you'll see we have the minimum and the maximum. And this is the value that we want. So let's try and access it through an expression as well. So here on the transform, instead of using the centroid, we're going to use an expression based on bounding box, B box. And same thing applies. We need to declare whose bounding box we're referring to, and then what dimension we actually want to use. We have minimums, maximums, size, and all the information that we saw here, minimum, maximum, and size, are available through that B box expression. Let's use this clip as a reference. So since we need to select what kind of object, where do we want to grab the bounding box from, let's grab that. And the way we refer to another node that's not itself, so we saw before that if it's the input or one of the multiple inputs, they're numbered. So they start at 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. In this case, it's not an input, it's coming from somewhere else. and it's called clip4. So if we know the name, then we're good. The names we refer, whenever you type a name, it's a string type, meaning it's text essentially. So we need to give it the path to the element or the operator that has the information, the bounding box, from which we want to grab the bounding box. So I'll open quotes and type 2 points. This means that it's somewhere outside of this operator, okay, of this node. Outside of this node, and it's called clip4. Close quotes, and then comma, and we use one of these values. So in our case, it's d_ymax. Close parenthesis, hit enter, and we should see exactly the same value that was on the other place. So now if we merge them together, you'll see that it's perfectly aligned. If for some reason we were to change the size of our box here at the box, that would automatically update. The wonders of proceduralism. Now let's put ourselves on a front view, make our references visible, and let's adjust the size of our tube. We want these two to stay the same, so we can apply, instead of holding the middle mouse button on one of them, we can hold the middle mouse button on the parameter, and that way it's going to affect both of them. So let's adjust the width. Looks good. Let's adjust the height. Great. And so we have what we were going for. Let's do a couple more details here. We can go here and let's press S to go into the selection. I'll make sure I'm in primitives, select, hit C, model, polygons, poly extrude, and let's go with a bit of an inset. Something like this, fine. Hit the letter Q, pull it slightly down, maybe 0.001, it's fine, and escape. So I think this is a good enough amount of detail. Yep, Shift W, have a look at it. Nice. Now we will want to make sure that these, if I press W, you'll see that it's kind of intersecting, it's going through. We want to apply a union operation, a union Boolean operation to these. So instead of using a merge, we'll use another Boolean, but this time, same thing. So the result from the previous Boolean, we want to add this piece. So here on this second Boolean, we want the operation to be union. We connect it there, and now we don't have anything going through. Let's delete this merge. We can hide the references, and this is getting there. This is getting closer to the final result.